Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today. This is the Bodega Cat Book Club Spiritual Edition. And today we're going to start a new book. This is called the Kybalion, Hermetic Philosophy. I did an introduction about intro to this book. I will leave a link in the description box below. And we talked about what Hermetic philosophy is. So you could check that out there. Um, So this book was inspired by a video I saw by Dr. Bruce Lipton. And for those who don't know who Dr. Bruce Lipton is, he's still alive. He is I don't remember what kind of doctor he was. Some kind of biology doctor, sorry. Um, but anyways, he's a in the medical field. Um, but he talks about, he does a lot of research on consciousness. Let's just put it that way. So he's been around for a long time. There's a lot of videos about him. You can check it out on YouTube and Rumble and other platforms. And um, and he wrote a lot of books too. So uh, s- someone worth following, I think. So, anyways, this book is inspired by his video, and I'll leave the video in the description box below, as well as a decode by a podcaster about the video and about Hermetic philosophy. So, before we begin, I'm just going to do a quick plug on what we do. We have if you go on our website, and I'll leave a link in the description box below, we have monthly newsletters that we put out for free. So please sign up for that. We also have other book clubs that we read from every week, and they are all on our YouTube channel as well as podcasts. So we have a podcast that we put out. I try to put out pretty regularly, but it depends on, who the universe sends my way to interview. So we have all our podcasts on there too. So check them out. And I think I interview pretty interesting people, but you have to be the judge of that. But anyways, on Wednesdays we have our health book club where we read uh, books related to health, and then Thursdays we have our financial book clubs. So check them all out. If you have books that you want to recommend for us to read, whether they're spiritual, health, or health related, or financial related, I'll leave a link in the description box below, and you can recommend them, and we will consider reading them at our discretion. So, anything else? Yes, we also have, uh, if you find this format helpful, if you find what we do helpful, you can buy me a coffee, support us by buying me a coffee or checking out our merch in our shop section on our website. We come out with new designs every week, every month. And especially in the holidays, we have new designs for pets, your fur babies, as well as for humans. So please check them out. Come back often to see what kind of new stuff that we got, um, and support us that way. And lastly, if you are in the LA area, Los Angeles area, whether you're, excuse me, local, or if you're traveling, for business or pleasure or whatever, come see us, come visit us. We have a healing center that we use technologies based on Nikola Tesla's, another great scientist worth checking out. Although Nikola Tesla is no longer with us, but a lot of his research still survives. Uh, his research is picked up by other scientists to do, research and stuff. So, anyways, check him out, Nikola Tesla, on YouTube and other platforms as well. Yeah, we use technologies based on his research, scalar wave research, for holistic healing for both animals and humans. So check us out there. We'd love to see you in person, meet you in person, get to know you in person. And yeah, so make sure to sign up for our newsletter and follow us and keep up with what we're doing. All right, enough of that. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. This is the Kybalion, and we're going to start with chapter one. Now, if you have a book, you can follow with us and with your book. If not, you can follow with us here on YouTube. And we will post it on YouTube so you can, you know, download the playlist, listen to it while you're, running, jogging in the gym, driving, whatever it is, doing housework. All right. Okay, here we go. Chapter one, the Hermetic Philosophy. The lips of wisdom are closed, except to the ears of understanding. The Kybalion. From old Egypt have come the fundamental, esoteric, and occult teachings. Occult just means hidden, uh, which have so strongly influenced the philosophies of all races, nations, and peoples for several thousand years. Egypt, the home of the pyramids and the Sphinx, was the birthplace of the hidden wisdom and mystic teachings. From her secret doctrine, all nations have borrowed. India, Persia, Chaldea, Media, China, Japan, Assyria, ancient Greece and Rome, and other ancient countries partook liberally at the feast of knowledge, which the Hierophants and masters of the land of Isis so freely provided for those who came prepared to partake of the great store of mystic and cult lore, which the masterminds of that ancient land had gathered together. In ancient Egypt dwelt the great adepts and masters who have never been surpassed and who seldom have been equaled during the centuries that have taken their processional flight since the days of the great Hermes. In Egypt was located the great lodge of lodges of the mystics. At the doors of her temples entered the neophytes who afterward, as hierophants, adepts, and masters, traveled to the four corners of the earth, carrying with them the precious knowledge which they were ready, anxious, and willing to pass on to those who were ready to receive the same. All students of the occult recognize the debt that they owe to these venerable masters of that ancient land. But among these great masters of ancient Egypt, there once dwelt one of whom masters held as, quote, the master of masters. This man, if man indeed he was, dwelt in Egypt in the earliest days. He was known as Hermes Trismegistus. He was the father of the occult wisdom, the founder of astrology, the discoverer of alchemy. The details of his life story we lost to history, owing to the lapse of the years, though several of the ancient countries disputed with each other in their claims to the honor of having furnished his birthplace, and this thousands years ago. The date of his sojourn in Egypt, in that his last incarnation on this planet, is not now known, but it has been fixed at the early days of the oldest dynasties of Egypt, long before the days of Moses. The best authorities regard him as a contemporary of Abraham, and some of the Jewish traditions go so far as to claim that Abraham acquired a portion of his mystic knowledge from Hermes himself. As the years rolled by after his passing from this plane of life, tradition recording that he lived 300 years in the flesh, the Egyptians deified Hermes and made him one of their gods under the name of Thoth. Years after, the people of ancient Greece also made him one of their many gods, calling him, quote, Hermes, the god of wisdom. The Egyptians revered his memory for many centuries, yes, tens of centuries, calling him, quote, the scribe of the gods, bestowing upon him distinctly his ancient title, quote, Trismegistus, which means the thrice great, the great great, the greatest great, etc. In all the ancient lands, the name of Hermes Trismegistus was revered, the name being synonymous with the font of wisdom. Even to this day, we use the term hermetic in the sense of secret, sealed so that nothing can escape, etc. And this by reason of the fact that the followers of Hermes always observed the principle of secrecy in their teachings. They did not believe in, quote, casting pearls before swine, but rather held to the teaching, quote, milk for babies, meat for strong men, both of which maxims are familiar to readers of the Christian scriptures, but both of which have been used by the Egyptians for centuries before the Christian era. And this policy of careful dissemination of the truth has always characterized the Hermetics, even unto the present day. The Hermetic teachings are to be found in all lands, among all religions, but never identified with any particular country, nor with any particular religious sect. This because of the warning of the ancient teachers against allowing the secret doctrine to become crystallized into a creed. The wisdom of this caution is apparent in all students of history. The ancient occultism of India and Persia degenerated and was largely lost owing to the fact that the teachers became priests and so mixed theology with the philosophy, the result being that the occultism of India and Persia has been gradually lost amidst the mass of religious superstition, cults, greeds, and, quote, gods. So it was with ancient Greece and Rome. So it was with the Hermetic teachings of the Gnostics and early Christians, which were lost at the time of Constantine, whose iron hand smothered philosophy with a blanket of theology, losing to the Christian church that which was its very essence and spirit, and causing it to grope throughout several centuries before it found a way back to its ancient faith. The indications apparent to all careful observers in this 20th century being that the church is now struggling to get back to its ancient mystic teachings. But there were always a few faithful souls who kept alive the flame, tending it carefully and not allowing its light to become extinguished. And thanks to these staunch hearts and fearless minds, we have the truth still with us. But it is not found in books to any great extent. It has been passed along with from master to student, from initiate to hierophant, from lip to ear. When it was written down at all, its meaning was veiled in terms of alchemy and astrology, so that only those possessing the key could read it right, could read it all right, could read it aright. Okay. This was made necessary in order to avoid the persecutions of the theologians of the Middle Ages, who fought the secret doctrine with fire and sword, stake, gibbet, and cross. Even to this day, there will be found but few reliable books on the Hermetic philosophy. Although there are countless references to it in many books written on various phases of occultism, and yet the Hermetic philosophy is the only master key which will open all the doors of the occult teachings. In the early days, there was a compilation of certain basic Hermetic doctrines passed on from teacher to student, which was known as the Kybalion, the exact significance and meaning of the terms having been lost for several centuries. This teaching, however, is known to many to whom it has descended from mouth to ear on and on throughout the centuries. Its precepts have never been written down or printed, so far as we know. It was merely a collection of maxims, axioms, and precepts, which were non-understandable to outsiders, but which were readily understood by students after the axioms, maxims, and precepts had been explained and exemplified by the Hermetic initiates to their neophytes. These teachings really constituted the basic principles of, quote, the art of Hermetic alchemy, which, contrary to the general belief, dealt in the mastery of mental forces, rather than material elements. The transmutation of one kind of mental vibrations into others instead of the changing of one kind of metal into another. The legends of the philosopher's stone, which would turn base metal into gold, was an allegory relating to Hermetic philosophy, readily understood by all students of true Hermeticism. In this little book, of which this is the first lesson, we invite our students to examine into the Hermetic teachings as set forth in the Kybalion and as explained by ourselves, humble students of the teachings, who, while bearing the title of initiates, are still students at the feet of Hermes, the master. We herein give you many of the maxims, axioms, and precepts of the Kybalion, accompanied by explanations and illustrations which we deem likely to render the teachings more easily comprehended by the modern student, particularly at the original text. Uh, particularly as the original text is purposely veiled in obscure terms. The original maxims, axioms, and precepts of the Kybalion are printed herein, in quotation marks, the proper credit being given. Our own work is printed in the regular way in the body of the work. We trust that the many students to whom we now offer this little work will derive as much benefit from the study of its pages as have the many who have gone on before, treading the same path to mastery throughout the centuries that have passed since the times of Hermes Trismegistus, the master of masters, the great, great. In the words of the Kybalion, quote, where fall the footsteps of the master, the ears of those ready for his teaching wide, open wide, the Kybalion. So I think I'm going to read the quotes 3 times for the maximum effect. So, where fall the footsteps of the master, the ears of those ready for his teachings open wide. Where fall the footsteps of the master, the ears of those ready for his teaching open wide, the Kybalion. When the ears of the student are ready to hear, then cometh the lips to fill them with wisdom, the Kybalion. When the ears of the student are ready to hear, then cometh the lips to fill them with wisdom, the Kybalion. When the ears of the student are ready to hear, then cometh the lips to fill them with wisdom, the Kybalion. So that according to the teachings, the passage of this book to those ready for the instruction will attract the attention of such as are prepared to receive the teaching. And likewise, when the pupil is ready to receive the truth, then will this little book come to him or her. Such is the law. The Hermetic principle of cause and effect, in its aspect of the law of attraction, will bring lips and ear together, pupil and book in company. So mote it be. End of chapter 1. And just a side note, I remember my teacher talked about this phrase uh, about when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I remember him saying, when the student is ready, the appropriate teacher will appear. And that makes a lot of sense to me because as we grow um, spiritually, as we spiritually evolve, we're going to need different levels of teacher. I see them as guides because teachers, the students have to do the work. You can't have other people do the work for them, especially when it comes to spiritual teachings and spiritual evolution and spiritual growth. It's an inner job and nobody can do it for you. You have to do it yourself. But what the teacher can do is guide you in a certain direction. That's why I think finding your right teacher is very important because there are spiritual teachers out there that are ego driven, and teachers that are ego driven, let's just say, are disastrous to your spiritual health. Let's just put it that way. So you want to, when you find a teacher, you want to connect with your higher soul. Your higher soul is your best spiritual teacher because your higher soul is intimately connected to you in in all lifetimes, all your life, right? So they can't steer you wrong. And if they do steer you wrong, it's for a lesson. It's a lesson that has to be learned on a spiritual level. And so, anyways, but your higher soul is your best spiritual teacher. So if you want to ask for, the Bible says, ask and you shall receive. So if you want to ask for a spiritual teacher, a physical spiritual teacher on earth, you want to connect with your higher soul, your inner spiritual teacher, to help you find the right spiritual teacher on earth. I hope that makes sense. I know it's a long, roundabout way, but your higher soul will find the right teacher for you at the right time, at the right place, at the right moment. So, anyways, I just wanted to put that in there, just a little footnote of my own. And well, I hope you enjoyed that. Okay. Um, that is the end of chapter one, and we will continue a new chapter. So this is a good book to go back, reread, digest, ponder. It's a lot of brain work, I'll tell you that. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed that, and we will see you next time. In the meantime, I hope you guys all have a great day, a great week, great wherever you are. All right, bye bye now.